The Gambling Act Review White Paper has now been published, providing an element of clarity on the regulatory future of the UK's betting and gaming industry, although the government has detailed plans for further consultations. Also gaining clarity from the review were research, education and treatment organisations such as Moody. Earlier this year, we visited the charity's Manchester treatment venue, speaking to CEO Matthew Hickey and then Head of External Engagement, Rob Mabbett.
For us, it's about security of funding. That's the number one. And I suppose that's one of the reasons why the Gambling Act and the white paper coming out from it is really delayed, because everyone's heard this word levy. And what does that actually mean? And it's really complicated. You know, is there going to be a statutory levy? Is there going to be a voluntary levy? Is it going to carry on as it is? There are so many complex unknowns within each one of those that I really feel for the government and what they're trying to do.
But if we were to have a full-blown levy, obviously the need for support needs to be evidence-based. So this doesn't necessarily mean that more money would be available. We would have to go through a system where, we really need to be very clear on what the scale of the problem is, how we treat that problem, what's most effective, and we're not quite there yet. There needs to still be a lot of exploration, a lot of research and such like that into how big is this issue in the UK.
So do I think there should be a levy? Eventually, I think there needs to be something more formal, but I think we as a treatment sector have to get more data available to the industry and to the key policymakers to be able to answer that question robustly. So does it work now? We're a reasonably well-funded sector. Could we do with more? Well, of course we could. To what level? Double? I don't know. Because the data isn't there. We're working on it and we will get there, but I think we've still got a little bit of way to go.
I feel are now in a position where we understand the issue of gambling much more. I think we don't hear some of the stories and the comparisons to the tobacco industry, to the drinks industry. At the end of the day, this is the gambling industry. So we need to understand gambling. We need to understand how gambling addiction can manifest in people. That's why research is so important. We need to help swim upstream and educate people around the dangers of gambling and educate them in the mechanics of gambling so they understand things such as risk and can make informed decisions as to whether they play or don't play. This is why education is so important. Prevention work and making sure that we are aware of safer gambling tools, promoting positively the use of safer gambling tools to help enhance someone's experience of gambling rather than be a restrictive thing on someone's gambling. It's something that is there to help them enjoy their pastime and stay in control. Going forward and into the future, I think it's massively important that the core research, education and treatment programs that are there are protected and that the funding's made available, but then also there is sufficient income there for us to innovate. We need to learn more. We still have much to learn about gambling addiction. There are still many innovative treatments. There is the use of tech in terms of identifying gambling harm and being able to treat gambling harm. So we need to be able to explore those. So there needs to be an element of financial freedom to do that.
Outside of that, we still receive donations from the industry. They have no impact on what we're trying to deliver and how we try and deliver that. It is simply a transaction, but that allows us to deliver and grow and deliver more treatment services. So I'll give you an example. We have opened the first women's residential treatment service. We couldn't have done that without the support of the industry.
A lot of the women that were applying for these services were needing a more intensive intervention than we currently had on offer. And what was very difficult for us at Moody when we sat and looked at these cases in our referral panel was that there was no treatment really that existed for these women currently within the national system. We would signpost them, or many of them, to the NHS, who do fantastic work with the gambling clinics and also help with those with severe mental health issues. But these were women where they needed to escape or come away from the environment they were in, because that was part of the issues that they had that was triggering and causing some of their gambling harm. It's also good to see that the wider sector is looking at the issues around women and gambling harm, and there are a number of other support services available now at different stages, so that women can have access to the same holistic treatment that there is for men in this country. It's long overdue, but it's really good that it's now part of our core offer.
Throughout the 28-month course of the Gambling Act Review, advertising, marketing and sports sponsorships have been a major talking point. Many reformists have felt that the visibility of gambling is too extensive and has negative societal implications. The White Paper did not delve into this as much as some may have hoped, but a few weeks before its publication, the Premier League did voluntarily opt to phase out its sponsorship deals with betting firms. As an organisation with direct experience of treating problem gamblers, hearing their stories and gaining an understanding of the reasons why they gamble, we wanted to hear Gordon Moody's view on the impact of advertising.
We don't operate in the space of young people, but I could see, from a personal point of view, I could see how a young person might be influenced about an operator being on a football shirt. Academically, what the impact of that is, I don't have enough knowledge. Do I think advertising is having an impact on those at the tip of the iceberg? No. But further down at the young person's level or the entry level, I don't really have the capacity to answer that. Do I think it will make a difference to us if it was there or not? No.
At Gordon Moody, we are focused purely on the recovery and the treatment of those individuals. So we try to build that resilience. Obviously, in the world of gambling addiction, people will leave treatment and they will go back into their day-to-day lives, where there will be gambling advertising, there will be temptation, there will be things, and we want to carry on supporting them. We have a range of outreach programs. They will always have an outreach therapist that they'll be able to talk to, but we have outreach programs in collaboration with partners such as Wise Up and Epic Restart Foundation, who do great work in helping people live healthy lives, gambling free in recovery, and helping to build that resilience, because at the end of the day, we can't take the visibility of gambling away from people, but we can help them to manage that day to day, that one day at a time approach that we're strong advocates of.
One of the main questions asked of policymakers during the Gambling Act Review was to determine how operators protect customers and what improvements can be made in this area. From Gordon Moody's perspective, British betting and gaming companies have really upped their game when it comes to practices, controls and tools around player protection. However, there is always room for improvement, as Rob Mabbett and Matthew Hickey explained.
From my experience, especially during the pandemic in the last couple of years, the practices from operators, the player protection controls that we've seen, obviously there's been a lot of encouragement to increase interaction in terms of tools to help players stay in control. We obviously saw a potential issue where people were isolated when they were at home, when they were gambling online, that there may be a severe surge in the amount of people seeking or experiencing gambling harms. We didn't see that event as such. We spoke to a number of online operators regarding the extra controls that we were putting in, and they were putting a lot more things in. They were doing much more regular interactions. They were working on their interactions. They were acting on some of those outputs. There were safer gambling messages pretty much in every communication that was out there. There was a wide range of player protection rules, not just from limit setting, but also cool-off periods and such like, to help players stay in control. There is always more work to be done when it comes to keeping players safe and such online. But when we look at the prevalent statistics out in the UK, and we're seeing that although the amount of people in the UK that gamble is remaining pretty consistent, we are seeing what looks like a reduction in those experiencing gambling harm, which needs to be recognised, because there is a huge collaborative effort, not just from the operators, but obviously from regulatory bodies, commissioners, charities in the sector, to raise awareness and try and reduce stigma as well. There should be no stigma in people reaching out for support with gambling harm. We have seen an increase in their use. I would like to see those being advertised or made available to people that do gamble in a more positive way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with putting a safety net in if you are going to gamble, setting a limit, making sure that you have some sort of control or plan and clear plan of what you want to spend or how much time you want to gamble. These are things that we should be positively reinforcing and are things that are important in a legalised, licensed environment, so that we have these controls and these rules and we are able to help people stay in control who do wish to stay in control.
I think the industry's done a lot. I think it really has come a long way. My evidence of that is in the conversations that I and we at Gordon Moody have with the industry. You know, they are proactively doing more and more from that safer gambling and responsible gambling side of things. What I would really like to see is a lot more data sharing between ourselves as treatment operators and the industry. What I mean by that is to help profile, to help develop understanding and help develop referral routeways direct from the operators straight into treatment, rather than having to go through however many steps it is that a gambling addict might well have to. Let's cut that down as short as possible. And I think over the next couple of years, I really would like to see that data sharing so that we can profile and develop and move on with the referral pathways.
With the White Paper's judgments now public, treatment groups like Gordon Moody have some clarity on what regulations UK gambling can expect, including an RET levy, even if that future is currently filled with further consultations.